Today's an exciting day because I'm going to be checking out the Path of Exile soundtrack. Let's start off with just like the main theme for the sake of like understanding what this OST even sounds like, yeah? Dum shada da dum. Wow. Ba 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 ba. Wow. That's really cool. It's an interesting piece, isn't it? Because the way that the cello starts off, it's obviously somber, and I think the cello is an instrument that lends itself very much to, it's a very human sound in that. There's a bit of a vibrato in that. On top of that too, what I find really interesting here is just the way that it layers. Like I won't analyze every single track. I'd like to listen to as much as possible. Listen to how like cool this is when it starts, right? 5 seconds in, we're getting a motif, and the motif carries us throughout this entire piece. And if you think about it, this piece is about 2 minutes long, but it actually is like a huge, like it's like a dinner. It's a full meal. The way that we increase the layering as we move through the track, it doesn't dissipate until the very end, about 2 minutes. But what's really cool is that we establish a melodic center fold, the center point, right away. And so that melody carries us through the rest of the track. It's actually interesting how then it switches instruments. It goes into the male choir, which is always really evocative of power, of strength. Also interesting how bleak it feels without being like a horror aesthetic necessarily. Like it doesn't get really like scary per se. You know what I mean? Isn't that amazing? You know what I mean? That is so different. So we start off with we go up and then we resolve down. And then here we go. And then notice right away, now we move away from the strings and now we dive into, let's put it this way. This entire stream is going to be me apologizing to you for not having done a Path of Exile's OST breakdown. Isn't that amazing? So, notice when we go up like that, what does that signify to you? That's heroic, that's possibility, that's opportunity, that's strength. Because we go up, it's interesting how like you can always tell if something goes down, it's always going to be terrifying, scary, sad, what have you, right? But when you go up, do you feel like that's a different sound quality? That's possibility. That's like heroicism. Say, no, I'm not going to let you like hamper, my path to exile. But then it goes back down. Ba, 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 ba. You see how it goes down like that too? And then we pick up, and now we're in the like. Now we're moving in it. Now we're in the conflict. And it's cool too here because what the men are doing is going, oh, da, da. And we're just moving up in the scale, right? But what that actually does is it sets up that sense of power. And the way that we do it is by having them sustain. Underneath we have the rhythm, and that's moving us forward. But the disparity between the sustain notes and the fast moving notes causes a little bit of like, whoa, what is that? You know, what's going on? And what's really fascinating about this is that then you actually have doubling with the trombone. So, whoa, and you also notice that there's a big hit with that trombone, which then sends it and doubles that intensity. And that's why doubling is so exciting when we listen to it in music that we love, is that the doubling effect there causes a sense of even bigger, right? It's much bigger, and it makes you feel like, holy fuck. And then now we get this that feeling right here. Don't you feel like that's very bleak? Don't you feel like that's a very like broken world, and like we're thrust on this stage with nowhere to turn, kind of, and we it almost feels like this quality of like, well, what am I going to do? I mean, I don't have a choice. I don't know what we're doing in Path of Exile that would cause that feeling. You know, I have played the first couple areas, like the beach, and it's like, look at this world. This world has become destroyed, and there's these flesh-eating beings and these huge crabs and these monsters, and everywhere you go, it's death. See, so we have a key change here. I wish I had the sheet music in front of me so I could actually break it down like that way. But like, check this out. So then we have a different a little bit of dissonance. That melodic movement is so empty, and there's such a sense of loss in that. Nice counter harmony, counter melody in the lower brass there. And then the men come back in, and they're saying, you have nowhere else to turn. Ba ba ba. Right. A little bit of this interesting like electric guitar sort of accents where it's repeating that harmony. It's repeating the melody, excuse me. And then we kind of chop it there, right? We're still repeating the melody. And see, but this is what I talked about several minutes ago. Listen to how we start with that motif, and then we end with that motif, and that motif kind of accompanies us throughout. And that's why it's so impactful, isn't it? Because we carry that motif throughout. And I find that that's really, really incredible. Let's hop into Legion here. Some of that white singing. Wow. Wow. Metallic clash. Ching chong. Boom, bam, bam. That's cool. Da, ba, 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 ba. It coalesces here, actually. Da, da, yada, 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 da, da, da. Da, 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 yada, da, 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 yada. What? Sort of amorphous fading out. Do you hear how this would be such a different track than the one we previously listened to, which was a bit more bleak, a bit more like morose, a bit more somber? What we end up having here is this incredible intensity pretty much throughout. Now, obviously, there is this feeling of, and I think that like across the board, this would be a common theme that I maybe don't need to bring up every time. But the main thing worth pointing out for this, as well as the previous one, is the fact that this is a sense of drive, right? And it's a drive of intensity. There's an anxiety in this piece, but there's also this sense of like, you know, never backing down. In this particular case, I really love that basically this entire thing is just this insane forward drive to get to a conflict resolution. Or there's a moment where we don't have an escape route. We don't know how to shift. We don't know how to leave this bad situation. And so the only way to go through it is to go through it. And I think that the white voice singing here is a little bit of that desperation, because we can't just be confident. I mean, if you think about music, music really is a subtext. Music is a subtext for the characters in which we are playing as or interacting with, right? That's the scope, and that's the theme of video game music in general, is being the extra emotional guidance that even in a game like Path of Exile, and I don't know how emotional Path of Exile goes, I don't know how deep the story goes, if we're even considering the story, but the one thing that we have to say is that music, especially in video games, which is all about telling a story, is there to help showcase the three-dimensionality of our individual characters. And even our character that maybe never speaks, our character still has thoughts, feelings, and concerns, and worries, and emotions. Or this music could also represent a boss, or represent a very malevolent being, and what it feels like for them to have their back up against the wall. You know what I mean? So speaking of bosses, let's check out Venarius. That's the motif. Keep that motif in mind. I think we're going to hear this multiple times. I know you already know it because you play the game, but listen to how bo, 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 bo. And I want you to think about what that means to you when you listen to that. What is the emotion? Now, again, we're talking about emotion here. We're not talking about theory. We're not talking about like, you know, the inner workings of the musical systems in place. What does that motif feel like to you? Ba, 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 ba. That's the questions that you should be asking when you listen to something and you're, you know, playing the game and you're listening to the music. Ask yourself these questions, like, don't just play the game passively, because there's so much that we can interpret and feel and vibe with when it comes to music. In order to enhance and be actively participating in the complete package of the game, besides playing it, you should also ask yourself, like, well, what does this mean to me? Like, what does a motif like that represent? Like, how does it feel to connect to this? Blah, 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 blah. And the thing is, like, no one is the same. Every answer is different. That's the beauty of it. Music is a personal journey. And even in a video game that we're all sharing a common interest in, including me, because I'm really hyped for Path of Exile 2, ask yourself, what is this music trying to tell me? How can I connect to if you want to, how can I connect to this in a more deep way? First of all, I love the way that this starts. very Gregorian chant, unison choirs and stuff, you know, like it's a very satisfying sound. If you like this, you probably like classical music, because I mean, they're not that dissimilar. And you have to ask yourself, like, well, why is this pulled back so much? We're just moving in descending pattern. It really does feel like something slips through our fingers. Something is dissipating. There's almost like a cloud clearing. We're moving through the fog. It's like, you know that there's a tragedy that's occurred across the way, and you're slowly making your way towards that tragedy, and you don't know what's happened. And so you're like, holy fuck, what has happened over there? A little bit, and then I'm sorry, I swear my brain's gonna tap out here in about like 3 of these, so like I won't analyze this hard, but we have the descending choir, but then listen to how the upper register instrument, which I don't know what that is, it sustains in an upper register, and sustaining in that upper register, what does that do? Well, it causes a sense of like, huh? There's a question, it's a mystery. And then we kick in. Now we kick in, and now we're in it. We're like, okay, I'm in this shit now. I'm in it. What do I do? All right. I fight. And this motif is probably going to exist throughout this piece. But that's fascinating, guys. I mean, this is a fascinating little musical shift even right here. Listen to how we have this 2 distinct sections. And I want you to start thinking about when you're looking at music, most pieces are not left to right. They're also vertical. There's so much density in a piece like this, right? So far, we're 1 minute and 6 seconds in. There's been like 4 different mini sections within this. I wonder if you've picked up on them. And if you haven't, let's go back and let's talk about how this is 2 different sections, right? Let's just, for the sake of looking at this, check this out. Right, what's happening there? Oh, the low man. I'm sorry, I did a bunch of auditions today, so my voice is all crackly. I also woke up at 5. Oh, right, you have the oh. Then on the top, you have the sopranos going yada 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 yada. Now that vertically is that's 4 different things happening, right? So this is a cool thing about music too. In a track, you have multiple different phases, you have multiple different sections, you have multiple different dynamic choices in terms of how many instruments you're writing for, what you're putting into this, all that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And on top of that, I forgot what I was going to say. Now, again, that's the shift. And do you notice how the shift is done? This is the cool thing about music. So music, you can look at it in a big way. You can look at it in a macro meatball. You can look at it in a macro way. A lot of people call me macro. I'm not sure why. You get the emotional arc of a piece, right? But then what we're doing here is we're looking at things in a granular perspective, right? Like what we're doing is we're taking a microscope, and we're not even going all the way because I don't have the sheet music in front of me. And I'm not a composer, so I can't sit down at the piano and try to pluck out what Camille did here. I can't do that. That's not my skill set. But what I can tell you is look at how we're writing music here and creating soundscapes to cause us to feel emotion and feeling, right? And that's so important to music. And I think that that's something that oftentimes people may not even consider, is that when you're listening to a piece of music, it is actively manipulating you into feeling what the game wants you to feel. And actually, in the course of discussions I've had with people, because I'm a bit of a blind, I'm a blind bat when it comes to music. I love all music for the most part. And objectively, all video game music in general is written well and written with the intention of sounding good, right? Not necessarily pleasing, but sounding good. That's the goal of a composer when they're working on a project for a video game. It has to sound good. Some people don't like that music emotionally manipulates them. That music dictates to us how we're supposed to feel. Some people actually don't like that. And it's taken me a bit of time to sort of come to terms with that as a person who used to actively manipulate people for his work in opera, where I was singing with the intention of you connecting to the piece of music that I was singing. My goal was to connect you to the piece so that you were invested in the characters and in the music and in the drama. But guess what? Every video game composer that you like is doing the exact same thing. We're trying to actively manipulate you into connecting to a piece of music. Now listen to how we shift. Listen to the transition here. Check this out. So how do we shift? We shift with a strong emphasis on the violin. Right, we have that. Into this next phase, we also have the cymbal, and that's how we shift into this new phase, right? Check this out. And what's happening there? We just had ba-da, ya-da-da, ba-da, ba-da-da. Right, that's great. But then now what do we have? Ba-da, ba-da. What does that feel like to you? What does it mean? To me, it's like complete loss, right? Ethereal, newly found inspiration, materializing, something is bubbling up under the surface. It's like seeing something emerge from the ground. Totally. You know, there's a mourning feeling, from glory to sadness. All of the things that you come to that transition with are valid and fair. I'm very excited, which means I'm talking a lot. That's cool. Cool percussion in there. Wow, that's an interesting shift here, guys. Very, 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 very lovely. Organ. Nice use of male chorus again. It gives me a bit of Hans Zimmer here. Oh, Camille is from Poland as well as you? Well, dzień dobry. Oh, Janowski. That makes sense. Oh, I want to listen to Orion. I'm sorry. Challenge accepted. Terrific snare there. Good percussion will take you real far. Huh. 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 Obviously, this is a military power. It feels like a... Da, da, da. I can't fully get a grasp on that. It feels like something very large versus something very small, doesn't it? It feels like a very David and Goliath. Now, it's called Conquerors of the Atlas. So, and Orion, you know, Orion being what Orion is, and the you know, Orion's belt and sort of this Herculean fighter. There's a quality in that music of triumph over adversity and really looking at something that's massive. Like looking at something that's like colossal. I was challenged to figure out what the Settlers of Kalguur's main theme is. I mean, it's such an explorative, terrific. Isn't that an amazing? That's an amazing feeling. The sense of optimism. When we talk about optimism, I don't mean like, oh my God, I'm going fishing. You know, I'm talking about like, I'm a person who is ready to take on a new chapter and a new story and a new journey in my life. And I feel strong. And oh man, this is delightful, guys. Like I love everything I've listened to so far. And so what's really cool about this is the strings. The strings are very bright. That brings like a sense of not peace, but it brings a sense of exploration. Adventure, right? Joy. You know what I mean? Especially because of the string choices. Now, imagine if we used a different instrument. Like, imagine that you used an organ. An organ would give you a totally different sound. That's really cool. The fact that we can have different instruments that then create and cause different soundscapes for us as listeners, it's fucking satisfying, right? And I want you to imagine putting on your favorite piece, and instead of being this, it's like got heavy organ, you're gonna react to it a different way. But isn't that crazy? There's the danger, right? We're talking like super subtle. But again, actually, this is pretty interesting. So I've never listened to any of Camille's music. This is the first time. But like, this is the other cool part about this is that right. That's where the like. Why is that? Because the strings are pressing in, and we're like, hey, we're off. And with the sails, we actually managed to survive the conflict. But that's also very cool because we have notice that all this other stuff down here, guys, all of this, I keep saying guys because I want you to pay attention. All of this underneath has been kind of fast, whatever. But here it's interesting because here we have a slowdown. What is that? That's much more plotty. It's almost like we're dancing. It's almost like we're like, shunk. We're like grabbing our shovels and we're, tossing the soil or what have you. It's interesting. Now let's listen to this transition one more time. You know what I mean? Right? Right? Feels like it's slapping your chest, right? Like that a lot. Love the strings in there too. Notice that every single track we've listened to here, this is a very interesting thing that Camille's done in every single track I've heard so far. Right about 1:45, right as we end, there's a shift, right? That's pretty interesting. Every single piece has not ended on a high. It's actually like whoop, ba-da-dum-bum. He's resets every single time at the end. Sort of a nice come down, if you will. All right, what was it? Cleansing Fire, right? That was the one. All right, hold on one second. Damn. Dun-dum. Whoa! Take it on. I like that piece. Obviously, it represents this character, and someone even I think referenced that this guy is the one that we're talking about. Honestly, the most impressive part, I felt it was ever so slightly repetitive, but I think it works. What's really interesting to me is this little corner. When we sort of shift into this like Bachian, that's not Bach. Who is that? That's Vivaldi. Yeah, thank you. So there's a Vivaldian sound in here, which I found kind of surprising. I mean, loosely, right? And it's actually interesting because if you look at the viewer trends as well, this all is a natural build. Now, who knows if this is accurate, right? It's interesting because we get this natural build right here. And then here we shift into this like Vivaldian sort of whatever, right? And then we shift back into this. And then this continues that build. Now we do get that heavy percussion in around here, I think. Yeah, with the choir, yeah. So the Searing Exarch here, it's all just like flame, right? And what I think this does really well is the whole build is just like basically like immolation, right? And like fire. If you ever want to seek it out, I can't show it because of copyright issues. There's the immolation scene from Richard Wagner's Die Valkyrie. Wotan, the father of the gods, essentially, creates a ring of fire to protect Brunhilde as she goes down for the long sleep, only to be awakened by the kiss of her true love. But the immolation scene is phenomenal. Because it sounds like this, not too similarly, but the imagery I have is the same as like watching Wotan, create this ring of fire around Brunhilde, and you get the right, like that's that ring of fire, and I find it cool that the Searing Exarch also has that same imagery. You know what I mean? I want to watch it.
Cirrus is dead. Zana has chosen exile. But the Atlas of Worlds remains.
Oh, that's why.
For Eldritch horrors.
That's because it's a trailer music.
We imprisoned
and the boss theme.
We placated the Mavin. We've been preparing for the arrival of another, but we never expected Thor. They embody insatiable hunger.
Oh, that's so So this is and this is why context does matter. And for anybody that's ever been like, context matters, Marco, you're right. And listen to how intense that is. So, you know, we never expected 4. Bah, bah.
They embody
like holy shit, right? Insatiable hunger. Bah, bah. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
insatiable hunger.
There. Da, da, crushing darkness, right?
Crushing darkness. Searing flame. Merciless wrath.
Damn.
If we don't stop them,
It's interesting how like this music appears when we're showcasing abilities.
if we don't stop them, they will consume everything. This is a war for our very existence.
And then the percussion, and that's when it thrusts like this. Jesus Christ. All right. Okay. So that's why you look at a build.
They are here. Stand with us, or we will all perish.
It's incredible. You know, honestly, it looks so good. I think the reason why I got really excited for Path of Exile 2 was because when they showcased it, there was some sort of like the drip on this. I think it was like a, was it a hunter? I was like, holy fuck, that guy looks so good. Or maybe it was like Max, maybe it was Dude or Mercenary. I bet you it was Mercenary. Yeah, hold on. Before we get back to music, I'd actually like to watch the Poe2 trailer.
There's not a job out there I won't take, so long as the pay's good.
Yes.
And a crossbow can solve it.
Yes. I saw this and I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. So the only two things I play in any of these ARPGs are Demon Hunter and Diablo 3 or a Necro. I mean, that looks so sick.
I'll take them all down, one bolt at a time.
When thinking about each new class, we really try to think about how we can make combat feel different from all the others.
Oh, this is 12 minutes. We won't watch the whole
is the
12 minutes.
crossbow. A crossbow is fundamentally different than a regular bow because it fires instantly instead of needing to be drawn back. This means that you need immediate feedback. Clicking the fire button should make the character shoot instantly, just like in a shooter. As soon as we experienced that, we realized that there are a lot of design lessons to learn from shooters, and so we fully embraced them.
Fuck yeah. Oh man, I'm so excited. Okay.
In Path of Exile 2, we have crossbows that work like sniper rifles, shotguns, and assault rifles.
Shut up. Oh! It's like Demon Hunter, but without any of those stupid ass
But in order to
cooldowns.
really get shooter-like gameplay, we wanted to go further. In Path of Exile 2, we now support WASD movement. You can now walk around in any direction independent of aiming. In fact, if this is your preferred method of gameplay, you can use it on any class, regardless of what weapon type you're using.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
You can change between click to move or WASD at any time.
Whoa.
Close and personal with this one. Hit the target, the stronger the ignite. So you'll want to get up nice close.
Oh, the
Might be a
closer?
good idea to switch to incendiary. The more projectiles hit the target, the stronger the ignite.
Sorry, I'll watch this on my own time.
Existence is a thing of beauty, precious, but impermanent. Life and death are mortal enemies, and yet bound to one another. The continuation of life. The continuation of life must be protected at all costs. Some have
It's interesting how when we get that, we get the music going.
Some have said my methods are brutal. To this, I say, There can be no salvation without sacrifice.
Holy fuck. Oh my god, it's that big? I've never seen it zoomed out. I've seen it like... Oh, I thought it was Venetian at first. The pan flute is really... Yeah, I mean, this is an incredible thing about trailers, by the way, that I mean, when they sync up, Skyrim's trailer does this really well too. Da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum. Whenever the big beats are, they also shift the action. It's such an amazing effect that a good trailer creator will do, where they will sync up action and stuff. It's like such a satisfying experience. I think it starts right here. Shum, 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 shum.
We are faced with the end, and I will do what I must.
You know, you have to ask yourself here when the chorus kicks in. Are we talking about the character that was just saying, I'll do what I must? Or is that really about us, right? But it's an incredible thing because it's tied in so well with showcasing the environment here. It's good, TLDR. So could I theoretically just like explore like a new area and like go to a new map and like do whatever happens there? Like, is there a degree of exploration? That's something I really like about video games, is like exploring and being a tourist.
Those who obsess with death, let them soon be acquainted with it.
Oh, fuck. Hey, that's that main theme. Well, he just dropped this. Let me listen to this. I like how... oh, fuck, I stopped. You know, actually, like, there is some similarity here between the Man on the Wall with this fantastic, very, very brutal chant. And again, I mean, I think, like, you know, sound like this is really meant to... really, at the end of the day, like, our backs are against the walls here. And I know that that's, like, sort of trite, right? Like, it's such an easy thing to say. You know what I mean? It's like... you're fucked. Like, that's really what that's saying. You know what I mean? And I think throat singing does such a great job. It's interesting because, I mean, like, if you think about it, throat singing, it can be a very meditative process, right? I mean, like, you know, we hear monks do it, right? In this particular instance, the ceremoniality, like an unholy church, or a church, well, it's a, you know, a chant, but you know what I mean? Like, there's an unholy religiousness in it. Oh. See, brass is a foreground instrument. If you've ever been to an orchestra, the brass is all the way in the back. How many trumpets? It's like, I think it's like 4. I can't remember the name, the amounts. It's like four French horns, like 2 trumpets. That sound usually is very, very, very frontal. It's very direct. It's very in your face. What I find really interesting is that here, because we use that, let's call it a Mesoamerican fluke. I don't know the official name, and that sounds fancy and interesting. Those flute accents, and also some percussion in here, actually put the trombones and the heavy brass emphasis on the back end. It's also lower. And I found that really cool because that's the main theme, I think, of Path of Exile. Now, I think we do have a main theme that kind of reappears, right? And so here, I think it's around 50 seconds. Listen to how, like, it actually, the brass is actually in the background. So, yeah, so isn't that cool? Do you hear what I'm saying? We're dialed all the way back with the horns, but then there's like 4 different things that happen in order to get us to this main theme thrust. And I think that's very cool as well. Check this out. So let's go back to 50 seconds. So the main instrument there is blah, 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 sort of like native folk instrument. Then you have the percussion. Right. And then check this out. Then you get thump, bum, bum. You get that. And then here you get the thaw. Then you get the strings going. What are the strings doing? They just gliss up my eyes. Like it look like I'm bugging out. And then that's when we thrust into the theme. So even there, right there, in 10 seconds, like we have 4 different soundscapes that are all stacking onto each other and shifting into each other, very like in a fusion sort of way, to then get to the main theme. And I think that's really cool, right? Hear what I mean? How like the back of that is that's where the brass is. Isn't that cool? Isn't it cool how like essentially it's just like hiding we still have the same rhythmic movement as in 50 seconds in, right? But then here, that's where we have the cool thing is that here we are at 50 seconds in, right? We're talking about like slivers of information that make this piece better, right? And that's like the incredible thing about composition and the incredible thing about music, right? Is that like a composer that is very good, which in this case I think Camille's very good. I've heard 6 tracks and all of them have been interesting. I'd like to hear something slower actually. Everything's been kind of high octane. It'd be nice to hear something a little bit more emotional, a little bit more tender, maybe, if that exists in a game like this. Notice how like the detail, right? The detail that we can pull apart in 10 seconds of music. And that's really the incredible thing that I'd like to really emphasize to you. Any piece you hear in a game you like has so much musical detail in it. You can decipher it for yourself. All you need to know is who, what, where, when, why, or really just like why. Why is this? What does that sound? I mean, maybe it helps to like know instrument names, I guess. But like, okay, that high pitched thing, what does that feel like? Okay, cool. Like it's amazing how much we can glean from 10 seconds of music. And this is every video game, guys. It's not just Path of Exile, which, I mean, obviously we're here for this right now, but like, that's an incredible feat. Shit. There was That's cool. It's also cool because, like, if this is login music that most people wouldn't really pay attention to, like the fact that so much of this is like something very skippable is very interesting. Yeah, let's listen to Mavin. Yeah, so that's cool. I mean, like, look at the cosmic shit in this picture, and then you hit the cosmic stuff in the music, right? Lioneye's watch. See, this is a boss theme, and I think what's really cool about this is that we actually are something that is really, really incredible, and a bunch of games do this all the way back to even Chrono Trigger with the ending there. Here we actually defy expectation, and I wonder if that's not due to like femininity. Obviously, this is like some sort of someone said it's some sort of Cthulhu monster from space, right? We're actually like dialing it back. And so like, how are we doing that? Well, what we're ending up with is the reason why it sort of has this effect is the fact that it's not got a tense rhythm. So there is rhythm, but it's not forward moving per se, yeah? Also here it's really interesting how the very high sopranos, ba-da-ya, ba-da-da-da-da, right? It's cool. Yeah, this like sort of floaty. I want to listen to this Lioneye's watch theme. Yeah, I can do both. I've heard half of that. Now I want to go to the new one. So this is the one that came out later. Wow, I mean, couldn't even. It's very different, isn't it? But it still has a sadness in it, doesn't it? It still feels bleak. This is the first town, right? This is the town that when you wake up on the beach, right? Do you hear how, like, even in here, like, bum, 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 there's no vibrato. I mean, there's a little bit of vibrato, right? But there's no, like, there's almost like it's almost like there's no vibrato on the string. So when it plays, it plays in a way where it's very, like, there's space, kind of like space in between your fingers. Boom, brum, brum, right? Like, that's it. That's the gap. And then okay. No, the percussion's phenomenal. A little bit of guitar. That's amazing. Wow. So not what I expected. I expected we were going to go boom. But instead what we end up getting, and this is, again, I mean, there's some really interesting things here with Camille here, where there's little micro shifts that actually change the way. You have to actually, like, pay attention because it's a little deceptive. So this is his own thing, sort of wandering around the wastes, right? But then look, right there, it shifts. So it's right here. That's the shift. Brum bum 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 bum. Brum bum 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 bum. Brum bum 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 bum. Right there. Instead of going stop, bum, it goes bum 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 bum. That's interesting. So now we're moving forward. And now, so it's, see, that's amazing. So now instead of the guitar being in the foreground, we end up having it be in the background. Now it starts to take the back seat, which is very cool because it's been in the front seat for the whole first half of the piece, right? It's the cello now that's the predominant position musically. Right. And that pattern repeats several times. Strings, guitars way in the back. I mean, long bowing here would really just like stillness of, but there's loss in it, right? Loss is a very easy emotion to reproduce in music. And there was a period actually where the guitar actually almost wasn't in it. Dum, dum. Now this is like lift your head up, raise your head, you know, go about your business. But even that, That's really where we get it right there. Also, it's most replayed. That's interesting. So that's where we have the low brass, the trombones, because of the way the dips in the dissonance here. Da 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 da. It has that minor quality to it. That's very like, oof, okay. But da ya da da. Hope, possibility. So it doesn't go down. It does go ba ba ba. That's what I thought it would do to really hit home, but it goes ba ba ba. Keep going up like no, you have to get up and do it. Is this the Chimbalo? Wow. Yeah, okay. Well, that's a super slow piece. All right, next up I want to listen to The Eye of Destiny. This is Maori? Wow. Hello. Oh my god, it's the Haka. Almost. Hooray! Oh, fuck. This is like, you will never destroy us, you know? Man, vocal rhythm is... Shut up! Fuck. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard that before. That's amazing. I wish it was a little bit longer, a little bit more fleshed out even, but what I heard is really phenomenal. Let's check out the Cavern of Hatred. Ba-da-da-ya, ba-da-da-ya. Is this just a track that exists in the game, like as you're like fighting? Because I find you know, one of the things we haven't really talked about today is ambient music and how meaningful ambient music is. Ambient music is really important to telling story. Area and ambient music are essentially like the unsung heroes of video game storytelling, right? Now, obviously we have such a thing as environmental storytelling, but game, like musical storytelling, is colossally important. See, but this is great because we also are getting percussion rhythm, which is actually helping us move forward. That's like got to keep going, because ambient music can lull us to sleep if we're not careful. But so having a forward momentum in that rhythm keeps us like, oh, I gotta keep climbing this mountain, right? Dum dum da da dum dum da da dum dum dum. Wow. Huh. Oh, that's unexpected. Oh, cool. To have a repeat there in the piano. Wow. Let's check out Izaro's theme. Terrific timpani down there. Whoop. Whoa. It like wants to be hopeful so bad, but it can't because of the chord structure. Da, 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 yo. Da, da, da. Chicka chicka chicka. Da, da, da. There's like a lot of pride within that, which I found kind of interesting, is that even though it's obviously has like a desperate quality in there, there's also like an immense feeling of pride, you know, like I will achieve this, that, or the other. And it's like, it's not to even say that, I don't know, it's just like so interesting because it's like yeah, I think pride. All right guys, thanks a ton. Thanks for watching. Hopefully with the stuff that you caught on to with the music, you sort of have maybe a newer or different appreciation of the music. And yeah, that was a great time. I'll see you later. Okay.